Sophie, and I am going to show you how I make my baby milestone discs. Well, I'm going to use a Sharpie oil-based paint pen, and the thickness is extra fine. You can also use a fine tip if you would like, but I prefer the extra fine, just having it a little skinnier and thinner. I also ordered these discs off Amazon. They're linked in my storefront, but they're 4 inches in diameter and 0.093 in thickness, but they're not flimsy at all. They're like a perfect size for next to the baby to say how old they are, how many months old they are. And I just love these ones and have always used them. I'm going to use a scratch piece of acrylic for my video to put a basic format down and then kind of go over it so that they're all each identical, but you could also use a piece of paper to do this. You don't need an extra sheet of acrylic unless you want to. For the discs, I'm going to use a total of 13 discs, one for each month, so 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, and so on up until 1 year. And then for this order I'm doing, they want their baby's name on one to put next to him. So that'll just be, there will be one with his name on it, but you can choose what you want to do. Sometimes I put hello on a disc for when the baby's born as like a little announcement. I prefer using the Valspar paint samples from Lowe's. This is actually indoor paint for painting walls, but it works really well. It's nice and thick. It only needs 1 or 2 coats and then a clear coat, but this is my favorite, dark kettle black. This is a mess because I've used it a few times. I also am going to seal the back of the discs with this polyacrylic clear coat by Minwax and a sponge brush to paint the back. So you could use a paintbrush if you want to. Since these ones are little, a paintbrush is fine. I typically would maybe even want smaller than this, but this is all I had. I could even just cut it and make it smaller than it is, but I like the foam brushes because they're easy, cheap, the paint goes on really well, all of that fun stuff. I start by removing the film on just one side of the disc so that I'm not scratching the bottom while I'm working on it. I like to use my Cricut weeding tool to do this, but you could use tweezers or your nails or something sharp. With my scratch piece of acrylic and a plain Sharpie, I'm going to trace the outside of it so that it's easy for me to lay the disc down and make them all identical. I also like to write the word month so then I can trace each one. One little trick I use occasionally is a dry erase marker because I can easily erase the number and write the next one and keep it within the circle. But since I frequently make these discs, I already have a template made with all of the months written out, so I'm just going to use this other sheet of acrylic that I've created to make the discs in this video. I prefer to do the word month on all of them first so that my hand doesn't accidentally mess up the wording by doing the number on top. So I'm going to go through and do all 11 of them first this way. Now that those are all dry, I'm going to line up the number above month and make sure it's nice and centered and go through and write the word out. I'm only going to worry about writing it just once because I'm going to go back later and make the lines thicker and cleaner. Now that I've written each month in cursive, I'm going to go through and make them look more like modern or faux calligraphy. So for faux calligraphy, you can use any marker, but the trick is to make sure that your downstrokes are the thicker part. So anytime you move your hand down to form a letter is where the letter should be thicker. Upstrokes will be the thinner part. Now I'm going to remove that second layer of film and flip them over so that they're ready to paint. I go through with one thin coat to start just to get the paint on, and then after about an hour I apply a second coat, and then after another hour a thin clear coat. Here's the final product. Make sure to like and subscribe.